Welcome to PA Podcast episode 11. We've actually started way before
We're done.
Yeah, we're basically done.
I'm leaving.
We started, I didn't try to preface this in any shape, way, or form, but I got to say something. I was really excited today because this is actually one of my old college buddies.
Yeah.
Right? 20 years we haven't seen each other, and it's actually wild to think. Is it 20 years?
It's roughly, maybe
Jesus.
19.
19 years.
Let's just call it 20.
I think, more time.
You know what?
has
Let's call it
passed.
19.
Let's call it 19.
I like
it.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready either. I'm not ready either.
I'm just not ready.
More time has passed than how old we were when we last saw each other. Isn't that wild when you think about it?
And let's just move on.
Yeah.
Let's just stop trying to rationalize the length of time or how old we are.
I don't even want to go back into those days, but we're different people now, but we're the same.
Do you remember the class we were in?
Which one? We were in a couple of classes, and
I know, but the first class, we had to take an intro course if we wanted to be a better version of ourselves. It was called learning techniques.
Oh yeah, it's
our
true.
grades weren't good enough to be in pure and applied science. So they shoved all the lessers in one class called learning techniques.
God. I completely forgot about that.
We'll never forget. 15 or 20% of our grade was you had to go buy a stapler.
Oh my God.
In order to stay organized.
No, but isn't it wild? We both started in sciences and we just ended in completely
100%.
different.
We were lessers. We weren't even in science. We're like, guys, you're just not good enough.
Yeah.
We're going to put you on the lessers.
Yeah, and then why? Why was that pressure there? It's because we want to be going into
because our parents
sciences
wanted
because
to
of our
be
parents,
engineers,
engineers,
or
as an Iranian, I have
accountant.
to be an engineer.
Well, you have to. Me too. I'm a Lebanese and Moroccan. It had to be an engineer, or I'm also Jewish, so it was finance.
Everything all together.
Or doctor.
You know what? You had to be a surgeon who owns his own practice.
I had to be an entrepreneurial surgeon.
That's what.
100%. That's exactly what. No, my parents didn't care actually.
Yeah.
But I just felt like that's what society said.
Yeah.
That should be done, right?
Yeah.
So I just went in it.
Things are really different now.
Oh, man.
Right?
You can't do the same tricks as you did and expect
No.
same. Like back in the day, my dad was talking to me, man. My dad's a tailor and, worked at Le Chateau for 20 years. And my mom worked at the passport office. Dude, we had a nanny. We had a pool. They had 2 cars.
I know, right?
We were flying.
But that was a different time.
It was crazy. They had a house, grew in value. You can't, those tricks, you can't do that anymore and expect the same results.
Well, you can't because everything is that much harder to achieve. Everything is that much harder to actually get to. Everything is more expensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
right? Revenues have gone up. I was reading this actually a couple of weeks ago. Revenues have gone up 100. You know what? Actually, before I do that, I want to do a proper introduction, okay? Because I haven't
we're so excited.
I haven't even done it. We're so sidetracked. I haven't seen him in 20 years. I'm so excited to see you.
Me too, man. Me too. We should have done a pre-podcast to the podcast.
We should have absolutely done it. But let me tell you guys, he is top 50 wealth manager 2023. This is what I know.
Thank you, man.
Right?
Yes,
portfolio manager. You own your own practice, right? That's a Jewish side in you. Right,
but no choice.
Like what you were just discussing, right? But I have a lot of respect for what you do. I'm looking at the things that you're doing on social media. Your $1 Million Minute is awesome. I love it. I watch all of it, by the way.
I appreciate it.
And I think you're giving insightful value. Rather than, I'm the guy to come to. We have the same thing in real estate, by the way, right? But I'm the guy to come to because I'll make you $1 million. No, this is your $1 Million Minute. Let's get into it.
Yeah,
you know what? This is our $1 million hour. Yeah. So let's get into it.
I love it.
Joseph Alfie.
I appreciate it.
Okay, Joseph Alfie. And again, I was just discussing, and we got so sidetracked. I guess we got so excited after not seeing each other for 20 years. But all this to tell you, I was reading up a couple of weeks ago. So revenues have gone up 150, 200, 250%, let's say. Housing... And just in general, inflation is up, but housing has gone up 800 to 900%. It's wild.
Yeah, it's wild.
From the 80s. It's wild. And then now you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how are people going to afford homes? That's the first thing. And the next thing is, okay, well, what's their investment vehicles? going to be. And one of the reasons I really am excited about today's episode, in addition to seeing you after 20 years.
I was gonna say I thought it was because I'm coming, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there's other reasons. No, kidding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There is that.
Okay,
But
good.
I think that it's interesting. There's questions that I'm asked all the time with regards to how should I invest my money?
Mm.
And I'm actually one of the first people to tell my clients, actually it's happening right now. We're selling a property for one of my clients, and they're like, Priya, like, we're gonna go and buy another property right after. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. Like, how many properties do you have right now? You know, like we're having this discussion, and yeah, we have 2, 3 properties. I'm like, well, there comes a point where selling and changing 4 quarters for a dollar may not make sense. Have you invested at all? And they look at me and they're like, are you a real estate agent? Or are you, you know? And I told them, I'm like, I'm an accountant by trade. I went to JMSP just like you.
Right.
And I told them, I said, there comes a point where you're coming to me for advice and I have to tell you, like, this is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we have our home, we have our properties. And then there comes a point where you need to learn to diversify. And especially being, you know, Persian. Now I just learned you have 7% Persian in you too, right?
According
Yeah.
to whatever 23andMe.
23andMe has said to you. But like being Persian, Middle Eastern, you know, whatever you are, everyone's like real estate is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's almost like if you don't have real estate, you haven't made it, right? That's the mentality. And oftentimes it might be wrong. I know many people who don't have real estate who are extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the point. It's like, okay, how do we start to diversify that? Have you looked at your TFSAs? Have you looked at your RSPs? Have you looked at different vehicles for yourselves? And then like, well, no, we haven't really looked into that.
Mm-hmm.
And the age-old debate, you know, stocks or mutual funds or whatever investment vehicle versus real estate. And I think that's the interesting thing that I really want us to focus on
I like that.
today. Yeah.
I like that. You know, they always ask the question, you know, who's the GOAT in basketball? And it's always like
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. And I always say, I mean, who cares?
Mm,
You know, why don't we just appreciate greatness? Like, look what LeBron's doing right now. It's okay to love him and love Michael Jordan too. And to me, it's the same thing with wealth management or investing. It's okay to love real estate and stocks. And like, there's no better.
there's no better.
You understand? Like,
Yeah.
it really depends on your situation, your needs, you know, your ability to tolerate a call in the middle of the night if, you know, the plumbing's not working, like your peace of mind, you know, are you incorporated? What's your personal T4 looking like? Like, there's a lot of factors.
Yeah.
So, for example, I bought my first condo in 2012. I paid 203 or 205,000 in Nouveau Saint Laurent
Yeah.
with a garage, beautiful place. Yeah, it was a no-brainer, right? I mean, at the time it felt like a lot, but looking back at it now, it was a great investment. But if I were to tell someone to buy it now and rent it now, they're not making any money on it if they run the numbers.
Right.
So, same investment, different time frame. In 2012, great investment. In 2024, horrible idea.
Yeah.
And I think it always just comes down to, don't fall in love with real estate or stocks or whatever. What's a good deal right now?
Exactly.
Like, I'll give you an example. I might hate real estate, which, by the way, you should never hate real estate, but we'll get into that later. Let's say I hate real estate. And, you know, you find me a sixplex in Plateau Mont Royal, all 4.5s, fully renovated, generating $100K a year, selling for $1 million. You know, I might hate real estate, but regardless of if I hate it or not, it's a fantastic deal.
A good deal is a good deal.
So you just have to fall in love with the deal.
A good deal is a good deal.
You know, so I think that, to your point, the advice you gave your clients, like, oh, you want to sell, you're selling your property, you're coming into money, let's buy another property. But what's the deal?
Yeah.
Is there a good deal? There might not be a good deal.
Well, I think also you have to look at how you're going to be able to hedge against taxes. I mean, that's another thing.
So I'll tell you, like, my strategy.
Tell me.
Okay, I'll tell you my
That's
strategy.
what I want to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, I make a good, say I make a good T4. So high marginal tax bracket. Okay? So I have issues at that level because there's just so many deductions I can get.
Exactly.
So I maximize my RSPs to get my deductions. I also buy this investment vehicle called flow-through shares.
Okay.
It's basically I invest in mining or exploration projects in the north of Quebec.
Okay.
And they flow their losses to me. So I put X dollars in the investment and to grow the exploration mining sector of Quebec.
Okay.
And in exchange, I get all their losses. So I get a huge tax break. It's called flow-through shares.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's very good.
I had no idea.
Well, it's a good tool, but
Yeah.
there's risks involved. You know, disclaimer, speak to a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do flow-through shares.
Joseph Alfie.
There it is. And
Yeah.
then I still was paying too many taxes.
Yeah.
So, well, obviously, you know, it's like, no, honestly, any tax bracket you're in, I don't care. You're paying too many taxes.
You're paying too many
Okay, I just want to throw it out there.
Yeah.
It's no, you know, it's you're paying too many taxes. I don't care where you are, what your income is. You're paying too many taxes. That's not a disclaimer. That's straight up.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
That's just
Well, there
the
was a
bottom
study
line.
that just came out that said
Oh yeah, you pay
the
more
highest
taxes than service or whatever?
household expense right now beyond everything combined, with beyond your lodging, your food,
yeah.
everything
Taxes.
is taxes.
Scary.
It's scary
Scary, man.
and a little controversial what I'm about to say. What are we getting for it?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm all for taxes, sure.
For
I'm not
sure.
for taxes, but I'll pay taxes if I can see the benefit. But do I feel any benefit these days? Do you remember 20 years ago? I mean, we were younger too. I mean, when we would go out and we'd have a good time, and we're not going to go too much
Yeah.
into it. But I mean, it was a good time. You didn't feel that kind of pressure. We were younger. And even though we were younger, we didn't feel that kind of pressure.
No.
Right? Now it's like every time you sneeze, you're painting something somewhere.
How much was this coffee you're offering me? I feel bad.
Bro,
Was it like, are we going to get through this?
I don't know if we're going to get... You want some more coffee?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't want any. No, but seriously, you're right.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. And I feel bad for the new generation.
I do.
You know, they say, oh, it's degenerate. They don't want to work. Whatever. That could be argued or whatever. Maybe not. But it's tough, man. We used
It
to
is
go,
that. Let's just call a spade, right?
Yeah.
I've
But
tried hiring a couple of I feel so old, like calling them kids, right? But like in their like early 20s or whatever. And I'm just like, there is no desire to work.
But maybe it's because like, and let's just play devil's advocate. I'm not disagreeing or agreeing or whatever, but maybe they're like, if I work, what's the point? That it's going into the system, which like, you understand? Like
Sure.
it's sad. It's like they just give up, where they train to think that they don't need to, or they're going to get it regardless. Like they're not going to win a freedom in life by not working. That's just the reality.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to get ahead in this. We're in a system.
We're in a system.
Okay? The system works a certain way. You have an iPhone. The reason you have an iPhone is because you live in a capitalistic system.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe in the system, don't buy an iPhone. And then I'll respect you for saying like, okay, I'm not going to work. I'm not going to contribute. I don't need to. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to get it out. Yeah, I would respect that more. But like, if you want the capitalistic return, which is like iPhone and cars and all these things, you need to also, you need to also accept that this is the system that we're in.
Right.
You need to work into that system. But again, I can't blame them. You know, could it be the parents? Could it be the environment? I mean, social media, I see things on social media like, oh, don't give it your best, or, it's okay. Like,
Yeah.
participation
Work
trophies.
smart, not hard.
Yeah, work smart, not hard. Oh my God.
You know,
Like, before getting to work smart, not
Like-
hard, you got to work hard.
absolutely.
And then you can work smart, not hard.
Well, you will
But there's
only
no-
learn to work smart if you work hard.
Yeah.
Because you'll have to make those mistakes to realize and recognize the issues with what you're doing.
100%.
and I'm just gonna go and invest in Bitcoin and make $1 million overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the new age mentality. And actually, it's interesting also because that's a whole new vehicle, quote unquote, right? Like
Yeah.
relatively.
Yeah, no, very much
And
so.
is that something that you believe in actually as a wealth
Yeah,
manager?
I definitely believe in the blockchain transactional system,
100%.
100%. And listen, I do believe Bitcoin has its place in a portfolio if you're able to handle volatility, and I do believe in that currency.
Not Dogecoin.
No, no,
Dogecoin is not it.
no, no, no.
No.
But to go back to like, because I know you and me were gonna go left, right, center, up, down, all
That's
over the
okay.
place,
That's what we're
pinball,
gonna
which is
do.
good. I'll go back to like so the second strategy I do for myself is flow through shares.
Yeah.
And then the last strategy is I buy real estate, but personally.
Yes.
So a lot of people, because anyways, most of my income comes to me personally. It's a long story. Advisors can't get incorporated yet. That might change next year. So
Really?
yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
So like
Unless
we can.
you can. Investment advisors on it's called CIRO, Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization. It used to be called IROC. Anywho, we can't get incorporated yet. They're in the process of discussing changing that. So anyways,
Is that like an AMF issue?
it's AMF. Actually, if you were like selling mutual funds only, you would be allowed to get incorporated. But full-fledged like CIRO, IROC advisors, back in the day, which was called IROC, were not allowed. Anywho,
Yeah.
it's just a thing. Just like I believe lawyers weren't allowed at some point, and certain professions weren't allowed, but over time they were allowed. Dentists.
Yeah. But the bureaucracy behind a lot of these things are like so flawed.
Oh
also.
yeah. It's like, anyways, that's getting resolved. So I had to find ways to reduce my income. So yes, I passed my expenses, my car, my this, I'm self-employed, all that, meals, etc. But then I bought a property that needed a lot of like love, So I bought an old, it's a fiveplex in downtown Montreal. So I bought the property, but it also has land in the back to build. So it was a good deal.
Right.
And because I put money to renovate it and increase the value and then refinance, the whole burst strategy, a lot of the money I put in, well, I was able to use it as expenses on my taxable income. And then when I refinanced, well, I got my money back, quote unquote, tax free, however you want to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I get my expenses on the rentals I put in, I increase the value, I refinance. So that's another way
but the
for me.
expenses oftentimes are only against the asset in question and the revenues.
It depends the type of expense. So there's two types of expenses. There's current expense and capital expenses.
Yeah.
So some expenses you can't use right away, and others you can capitalize over time. So, get a good accountant.
Yeah, that's it.
So that helps me with that's my situation.
Okay.
So because I show a certain income, I need to find ways. And then on the flip side, I get real estate. So the property value grows, and the income grows from the tenants because, rental has exploded too. I have land in the back to build. So to me, real
rental,
estate,
depending on who's there, depending on how long they're there.
Yes, there are rules. There's a lot of rules.
We have the rental board situation here, which is a disaster for landlords in Quebec, right?
Even worse in Ontario.
Is it worse?
Oh yeah.
Is it worse?
From what I hear, it's a disaster.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you.
I don't know because I'm not there.
But I'm telling you, I think it's worse.
Dude.
You can get away with murder over there. It's crazy. It's not good to be. It's not landlord friendly.
I don't think anywhere in Canada.
But even New York has become not landlord friendly.
Anywhere that's leaning to the left, I think that's going to be an issue, right? I think maybe if we're in Texas or Florida, it's going to be a different topic, right?
Although Florida, I read an article that some condos are losing 40% of their value.
I did read that
because recently. Of weather, insurance, HOA costs. So the condo fees went from tripled.
Well, I mean, any natural disaster. Look, this flooding that we had last.
Oh, that's going to be. That's people need to wake up to that. By the way,
absolutely,
that's going to impact everything.
Just since that has happened, everybody is at stalling. And two of the properties that I'm involved in right now have flooded. Okay. So the deals
Eee.
are falling apart. Okay. And this is a discussion I've been having more and more with people over the past 10 years. And I've been telling them these properties are older now. The French drains don't work. Our sewage systems are not meant to handle this many people. Something's got to give. And the city has to wake up to it. And even homeowners need to start investing in trying to find ways to drain away any type of water. And even the melt with the snow and all that, it can contribute in the same way if it happens very suddenly. We have real fluctuations in our weather right now. It creates serious impacts for homes, especially the types of homes that we have in Montreal.
What is your advice now to people? Let's say I didn't get a flood, but my neighbor did.
Okay.
What am I doing tomorrow morning?
I think that the first thing you need to do, first of all, if you didn't get a flood, you'll have to try and figure out, in a sense, I mean, it's good to just do the, first, you're very lucky. Like if your neighbor didn't have it and you had it. And this is a thing. Actually, it's happened in quite a few places. And so you wonder, okay, is it the French drains or is it just how your sewage is flowing towards your home? Because look, there's two things. Some of the homes have had like a backflow issue. So it came back from basically the sewage. Okay. So it was a backflow issue and they had to deal with that. If you don't have a backflow valve in your home, that's the first thing to look at, right? So that's something that you'd have to investigate. Even the homes that had backflow valves flooded. Okay. So then it's like, okay, well, where's the water coming from exactly? Some of them, the sump pumps aren't able to evacuate as quickly as they should have. Right?
Or the electricity goes down and then your sub pump is it ain't operating.
Hence why you need to have a backup system to the sump pump.
Yeah.
And I say this to everyone because they're like, okay, we'll invest into it later. But there are battery powered like backups for this.
Yeah, for sure.
That you need. But the amount of water that was flowing in.
That was crazy.
So is the water sloped? Is your land sloped towards your house? That's the first thing you have to look at. And then if it is, then you have to slope it away. The second thing is your French drains are probably no good. Like 90% of French drains in Montreal are no good, right? Yeah. They're all like older homes. You know what I mean? Your French drains are not functional.
Jeez.
Okay? So that's the next thing that you have to look at. And people need to start to invest into this, right? More and more. And the next thing is the city.
Let's just not count on that. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
You're bang on.
You're right.
I'm not counting on these people.
No, I think that they'd be more interested in creating bike paths than actually looking at fundamentals.
Now, bike path / sub pump. Since you're creating the bike path, do something.
Well, it's
put a drain. I don't know. Fix the sewers.
You have to do it.
You know, like
right, like all this investment.
We don't want listen, we don't want them. We want better traffic flow. We want some bike paths. We want to live all together in a happy environment. But if you're going to start digging and destroying everything, fix what's going on. Like, what the hell?
Every year they're destroying all of our roads and rebuilding them. So while you're destroying it, do something.
Yeah, do something.
Do something.
The tax money. Maybe we're not taxed enough.
Maybe that's the problem.
That would resolve it, huh? I think they should increase
enough
taxes.
Revenues. Not enough revenues for the cities or the governments or the provincial or federal.
It's just not enough.
It's just a mess.
52%.
And like people are really looking to escape Canada. Now you have to start looking at it. Now you're looking at immigrants, right? We need immigration. We need immigration. We need immigration. You need immigration because your environment is not conducive to even look. I've got 2 kids. I think you have a second one.
Yeah, I have a second one on the way.
On the way, right?
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, but look, do I want to have a 3rd, 4th, 5th kid? No, because it's like just handling this is enough. Yes. Do I want? Yes. Can I handle it with this environment? No. Yeah. Everything is so expensive right now, too. Just handling 2 of them is like a lot. You're gonna see, right?
No, I heard.
Right. Yeah, so you have a girl
and a boy coming.
A boy coming. All right. Yeah. I've got 2 boys. Right. So it's, I guess, a lot of ruckus in our house. Right.
I'm sure.
My wife has to deal with three 3 boys. I also
3 kids.
Yeah, 3 kids. I get into that mix with them sometimes. I start wrestling and I start,
I'm sure you're the biggest problem.
probably am. I
We'll,
probably am
we'll
the
ask
biggest
her.
problem. Yeah, you'll have to ask her. I
We
don't
should
know.
ask her right now.
I know, right?
We'll ask her.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll give her a
Maybe
call.
we'll do a poll.
That's it. Another poll.
Another poll.
I had a poll. My God, like
The language poll?
the language poll. I keep getting messages on Instagram from all kinds of people. Why aren't you speaking this language?
Oh.
Why aren't you speaking so French at a certain point? I understand. Look, I understand. I get. Office à la langue française called me. Look, I get it. Okay, I get it. I will speak more French. Okay. It's just that, look, like we're West Islanders. We grew up here. Like we were at Abbott together.
Mhm.
It's just, look, this is the language that most of us have been communicating in over here. Yes, I speak French, and I went to French school my whole life, and I do communicate in French every now and then in my videos. And then now my Persians, whom I love so much, okay, why don't you speak Persian with us now? I will get to that too, but like there comes a point where time is an issue,
Yeah.
right? I can't start doing everything in trilingual. You know what I mean? So I'll do some of this, some of that, some of this, but I understand. And look, we're gonna get into the polling question definitely.
So you know what I'm thinking? Like I want to try to help people today.
Yeah.
Okay. And my market, so my client base is high net worth and ultra high net worth. Okay.
Right.
I don't want, they're fine.
Right.
Let's try to help the younger generation
100%.
who's they really want to get into the housing market.
I think that's great.
Let's try to help these people.
I think
It's not my market. I'm always giving free advice, but we don't really take them on as clients generally. We do sometimes, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
I want to help these people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's find solutions, okay? Do you have a scenario like a template person you're speaking to right now and they're right there and they're having, like they're always getting outbid or they're just one step behind? How can we boost this person?
So I go through this often.
Let's focus on that.
And one of the things that I say, and it's not to say that I do things better than other people, no, just the way I do things. I've always been looking into giving value to my clients and actually being a real component to their growth. So hence why, like, one of my clients is selling now, what do we do? Well, let's look into different alternatives for you rather than real estate. Yes, if you sell and buy, I'm making more money, but it's not about me. And look, that's just the truth about it. It's not about me. But I want my clients to be like, shit, like, Puria advised us to do this, and now we're growing. You know what I mean? It's not that, there are so many scenarios of people that I come and see saying this real estate agent told us to do this, and now they're stuck. And I'm like, what can I do? You already bought this property, right? Now we have to rebalance things. But to your point, there are people who are not quite in the market, okay? And they have to be able to get there.
How do we get them there?
I think that one of the things that I see often, which isn't ideal, but it's still something, is they get partners.
Yeah.
They have to.
Like to buy a house where they're going to live or to rent?
It could be either or.
Yeah.
Right? You have to see, what can I do right now? And I have actually told people, if you can afford it, first you got to go further, but then maybe we could look into a revenue property where you're going to live in one and then rent the other.
Ugh.
Right?
That to me is the best advice.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so hardwired. House condo. Dude, duplex, baby.
Yeah.
Like
duplex,
triplex,
right? Doesn't matter.
Phenomenal.
Go into the studio. I just said this to somebody.
Dude, run the numbers. It's this is what you need to be. This is what they need to be. I'm so happy you said that. If you hadn't said that, I was gonna leave.
Yeah.
Kick the camera. I'm like, this guy.
No, but true,
this is good advice,
right? Like you're looking
advice.
into like, what am I gonna do now? I don't have the revenue, so if you can't go into a partnership, let's look at where you can get your revenue. Now we're gonna look into, like, there was a triplex that one of my clients looked into.
How much was it?
It was $720,000.
Okay. What house are you buying for $720,000 in the West Island?
You don't.
Oh, there you go. Point.
Okay.
Continue.
You don't. So I'm like, okay. Then there was 3 units. Okay, the bottom unit is the one that
I'm
gave the
getting
most.
excited.
I know, right?
I'm calculating
I'm getting
the
excited again thinking about it.
the revenues. Okay, go, keep going.
So then there was 2 bigger units, 1 smaller unit, which was almost a studio.
Okay, so like no closed bedroom.
So very small, right? It
600
was
square
almost an
feet?
open concept, 600 square
Okay,
feet, roughly,
whatever.
just under maybe, right? And then 2 other ones would give more revenue, but then they wanted to go in the bigger one, right? And I'm like, but guys, that's going to be your moneymaker.
Yeah.
You can go into the bigger one once your financial situation stabilizes,
Mm.
right? It's your property.
Mm-hmm.
The owner is not over 70 years old, hasn't lived there over 10 years. You're good. Take your time. And then eventually you're going to move there. Okay? Yes, like we have all of these things with the TAD and the rental boards and everything, but at the end of the day, you have certain rights. And now you're living in the building. Now you want to go into
Easy.
it. It's going to be your right when the time comes. But you're going to let go of $1,800 in revenue right now to exchange it for $800 in revenue. That's $1,000 a month. Go into the smaller unit.
And
You're just one person. And they did it.
wow.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks when you do it, but once you get that first rental income on the first of the month, you're like, it just rewires you.
Oh, yeah.
Everything you see it differently. Once that first dollar of rental income hits your account,
100%. And
they
look,
must have called you and been like really appreciative of this advice.
well, yeah, I think I'm very fortunate. I've got clients who are always appreciative of my advice, but I've never looked at it for me, just like you're saying,
Yeah.
you know? I've never looked at it for me. And I think, look, we're fortunate enough, both you and I, like we've built our businesses to a certain point. And I think that the integrity that, we have, it's not to talk about ourselves, but I think that plays a role.
100%.
And ultimately, I tell my clients, listen, whether you buy or don't buy right now doesn't change anything fundamentally in my life,
I say the same thing.
right?
I mean, it does. It's where it's a different. It's not. I'm not 15 years ago.
I'm not 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm really just trying to guide you here,
Yeah.
right? And it will work for you. And look, everyone's strategy is different. My strategy, I'm extremely conservative, right? Works for some people, might not work for others. I remember there was a client who told me, we want you to like be a little bit more aggressive and like, it's okay if we lose money. I'm like, but I'm not okay if I lose you money,
Mm.
right? I'm not okay if I lose you. Like, no, but this is how risks go. I'm like, no, but there is risk and then there's stupidity,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bitcoin versus Dogecoin,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
let's call it that. Like, that's what it is. It's like, well, there is calculated risk. And I'm not going to do something that I think is stupid, right? But I'm not going to guide you in that. In that way, go and see somebody who's going to tell you, yeah, buy whatever you want. It's okay. It's going to grow no matter what. It's not true.
Yeah, it's like the advice you gave with Chris the other day, which I love. Like, I mean, people are so hyped up on flipping a house.
Yeah,
Did you run the numbers?
absolutely.
Like, do you know what a welcome tax is? Did you forget that you have to pay that even
You got to
flip
pay your
the house? You know you
agent
have to
at
hold
the
it
end
for 1
right?
year
Like, that's all
now.
those- yeah.
You know, it's capital gain. Do you know what the difference between capital gains tax and income tax is? Do you know what it takes to get your GCs in there? Delays, closing costs,
Exactly.
notary.
Do you even have a team?
Yeah.
That's the first
Do
question
you
I
have a
ask.
team?
They're like, no, but
I-
like my friend did it and he made a killing. Your friend is full of shit. I'll tell you right now. Okay?
Unless he did it in 2000 and
No.
Yeah,
I
he's
go
full of
through
shit.
this all the time.
Yeah.
My friend made $200,000. Your friend is full of shit. I go through this every day. I see, and you know what? I actually called them out on it. I'm like, which property did your friend buy?
oh, and you went to JLR it. You got
Right?
all the
I
details.
did. And I'm like, your friend made a profit?
You ran the numbers, no
Right?
chance.
No, he told me that. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, look, I've done 3 construction projects, okay? And at the end of the day, no matter how cheap you get, right? I ran the numbers with them like quickly because I'm telling them, I don't want you to buy a flip
Mm.
because A, you're going to get stuck in it. B, you're going to get depressed, right? Like I've seen this. If you don't know what you're doing,
No,
you're
if you don't know what you're doing,
right. Like it just doesn't work. And then at the end of it, you'll say, Purya, sell it for me. And then it's not going to sell and you'll be upset.
and then interest rates go up.
And then interest rates go up.
Right?
Right?
It's
Exactly.
like crazy. No, you have to run the numbers.
Right.
It's not as easy. It's just also like you're not getting good deals out the gate anymore to
No.
warrant that kind of risk too, you know?
No. And it's like you're in a position, I'll say this too. If you're buying a property and it's like relatively low and there's nobody who's fighting for it,
There's a problem.
there's a problem.
Yeah.
If no one's fighting for it, then
In this market,
when are they going to fight for it?
there's a problem.
After you start spending all kinds of money on it? Not to mention, have you actually done a market analysis to see what's the highest property that has sold in that area? And what, like, versus the property that you're getting, what are you going to do to that property that's going to warrant this?
I also feel that like, I mean, I'm no expert, but some people were buying properties on my street way higher a year ago and now they're selling lower now.
Yeah, but
They're
so I would
I
tell
think they
you
overpaid.
they probably bought it 2 years ago because
Maybe 2 years ago. Sorry,
last
2
year
years ago.
was a horrible year.
Oh, was it really?
It was. Last year was a horrible year.
So 2 years ago they bought peak, man.
Yeah, and then now you're still probably not there, but better than last year.
Potentially.
There's more movement. I mean, look, the bond market started to go up. I read that it's going down again,
Yeah.
right? But also the fixed rate started dropping.
Yeah.
So that has revived some of like the sentiment with regards to real estate.
Right.
But I also tell people, I'm like, well, when the rates start to drop, it's because our economy might not be doing as well as it should, and they're trying to fuel it.
Yeah.
I want your opinion on this actually before I forget.
Yeah, we'll talk
Okay.
about that in a second.
I want, because I don't believe, and I've had this discussion before, I don't believe in the neo-economic policies of let's bring up interest rates to taper inflation. I want to know what your take is on that.
Yeah, look, I'll talk about it. I want to get back to helping people after. So if I forget, remind me.
Sure.
But that was good advice for the triplex.
Yeah.
Like amazing. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Look, I find it's like a circus.
It's exactly
that. Okay, quarter point. It's a circus.
It's
okay?
a circus.
So housing prices are going up. You can't tame it. What do? Interest rates. No, you build.
Yeah.
You build.
I love that you said
Dude,
that.
you increase the supply.
I love
You
that you
tell
said
the government your permits are taking 2 years, should take 2 months.
that. Yeah,
If you can't get it done, you're fired.
exactly.
Start building like crazy. Did you see housing starts?
Yeah,
We have a problem.
yeah. We have a problem.
We have a problem. Like the prices ain't going, there's no crash in real estate
No.
happening, guys. I just want that to be clear. Put this video up in 5 years. It ain't crashing.
No.
It might soften. Prices might go down. You might get a better deal. But there's no 2008 USA crash here where you're buying an Arizona home for $26,500.
No.
It's not happening.
No.
There is too many people for the amount of supply. The demand is explosive. So it's smokes and mirrors. They want you to focus on interest rates when really they need to let people build.
Yeah.
Let people build.
Absolutely.
Let people build. That's it. I'm making shirts. You gotta build.
Right. Real estate agents out there, are you hearing this?
We gotta build. So like, that's it. It's so easy, you know. I tell, and people are like, I don't understand. I said, oh, let me explain to you. You live on your street, okay? There's 20 houses on your street. All right, and it's all the same house, okay? Same amount of bathrooms, same amount of bedrooms, same square foot. You all have a pool. Everything's the same. 20 houses. As soon as one goes on the market, it sells in 24 hours, okay? Do you agree that there's high demand for what your product is?
Yeah.
They said, absolutely. Perfect. Now take your street, make it longer. Put 50 million of the same houses. Now, do you think it's going to sell faster? No, there's going to be so much supply at that point.
Mm-hmm.
It's just there's not enough supply.
There's not enough.
One
supply.
house goes on up in the West Town, everybody knows about it. It's like the biggest news ever. It ain't that exciting.
It's not.
It shouldn't be that exciting.
It's not, man. It's not exciting.
The fact that people are getting
I hate posting my new listings. I'm not gonna lie to you, right?
It's okay. You should.
I hate doing it because I'm just like, okay, here's a new property.
But it shouldn't be the most talked about thing in the West Town. Oh my God, the house on Tecumseh's up. Did you see it? I can't believe it.
Did you see what they're selling for?
Oh my God.
Did you see that it's sold?
Yeah, I can't believe it. Who bought it?
Right? Okay, I'm just gonna start flipping houses now.
Exactly. It's like a circus. Guys, just build. Create a new city. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, do something. Stop talking about interest rates. We
Yeah.
have land in Canada. They don't want you to build. Builders, they have so many roadblocks. They villainize them. They're the villains. The builders are bad. I can't believe it.
No.
I can't believe builders are now the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous. So, this interest rate circus for me is a waste of time
Yeah.
until they talk about building.
Do you believe in windfall tax? Because like
What's
I think
the windfall tax?
I think that one of the bigger issues that
I'm
we
tired
had,
of these new terms.
Right? Yeah.
I can't keep up anymore.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
New
I should,
tax.
like this is a term
What,
I
came
learned.
out yesterday?
I learned not long ago myself.
So don't throw
But,
me under the
like,
bus.
no,
I'm supposed to know
not.
everything.
I'm not. What I meant by that is like one of the bigger issues we had was profiteering, right? Like,
Oh, so the 1 year rule,
right now, the one of the like controversial things, right, is
making money.
do we start making money, and then do we start taxing those companies more because they're profiteering and taking advantage of the situation? It's like very controversial topic, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, it's either that or then bring up our interest rate and let your economy kind of crumble just so that we come back to where we are now and then drop it again. It's just like this yo-yo. I'm so tired of it. I'm so
Yeah.
tired of it. It's
But
like, where are we going?
But they're making so much money.
Yeah.
Like the municipal taxes came out. Okay, and like your property value went from 600,000 to 1.3. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and people are like, yeah, and I'm like, yo, your taxes are about to explode, and the cities are licking their chops, man. They're loving this.
To the cities, I want to say something right now, actually. Do you know more and more what I'm realizing in the market is that the properties are selling under municipal value? So to the cities, I'm saying, you know what? You got to reimburse people on the differential at the very least.
Are you going to decrease the municipal evaluations next come around?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Are you going to decrease? Are you going to lower
No.
the taxes you make?
They're not going to. And you know what? If they do,
I want to know.
if they do, they're going to increase the welcome tax percentage.
Oh, which they did.
Right? They've already done.
They've done it.
Right? There comes a point where it's like, how much do you want?
Yeah.
How much is enough?
And which goes back to flipping.
Yeah.
Like, you got to take all of this in consideration, you know?
And then,
So anyways, to go back to your to the interest, I mean, I don't care about interest rates, to be honest with you.
but doesn't that play a role even in
I mean,
your environment?
does it?
That,
I always tell everybody.
how do you hedge against it?
Well, people are like, what's your time horizon, Joe? I say 100 years. They're like, why 100 years? You're going to die. I say, I'm not doing this for me.
No?
I'm doing this for the
100%.
next generation, my family. So it's 100 years.
Well, only
But even-
people who have
but-
children can understand this.
Yeah, but then they're
right?
like, but your kids are not going to be around in 100 years. My argument is, I think we're going to live longer. Personally, I think 100 is going to be very feasible in the future because of like health advancement and all that. But regardless, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When I buy an asset, I just don't sell it.
Yeah,
So it's 100 year. Every decision I make is 100 year.
absolutely.
Now, when you make decisions on 100 years, and I might be exaggerating, I'm Moroccan, we exaggerate things. Moroccan and Lebanese, so that's even
Right.
worse.
Yeah.
So
It's a deadly combination.
my horizon is 500 years. Okay, I'm never gonna die. So when you're but seriously, when your time frame, like people that are concerned make 12-month decisions.
Yeah.
When you see things on 100 years, you don't care what the interest rate is.
No.
You're buying.
You can never let your emotions get the best of you.
No, and you can't let short-term news impact your decision making.
Absolutely.
You could let it help you be strategic. Like, for example, there's floodings going on. You need to realign your strategy and the questions you ask now when you're buying a property.
Yeah.
People weren't asking, are you in a flood zone? Did a flood happen here in the last 12 to 24 months? People weren't asking that. So you could realign your questions, but your strategy should be based on very long term. If not, you're never going to make an investment. You're never going to make a sound investment.
No.
So these like, oh, Bank of Canada's announcing, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I just don't.
But in those moments, right?
Yeah.
Let's say the interest rate's going up, or the market is starting to crash, correct, whatever. Not
Yeah,
crash.
yeah,
I mean,
whatever,
going
crash,
through a
correct,
correction. How do you hedge
Oh, that's a great
against
question.
that?
We build all weather portfolios. So like our clients as a whole made their success through their business.
Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of money through their business. They're leaders in their industry. They're the best at what they do.
Okay.
My role is to preserve, grow strategically their wealth. I'm not here to make more money than they know how to make the money. They know how to make money better than anybody. I preserve and grow strategically.
Okay.
So when we build a portfolio, I'm not telling them we're going all in Bitcoin. I'm not telling them we're going all into tech. We just build a balanced strategy. So all my clients have tech. All my model portfolios that are high net worth own Microsoft. They all own Google. They all own Apple.
Yeah.
You know, they all own Amazon. They own McDonald's. We own BMO. We own National Bank. We own Sun Life. We own gold. We even own real estate.
Yeah.
We buy it through private equity funds.
REITs.
We'll buy private REITs.
Yeah.
Apartment buildings. We'll buy farmland. We'll buy mini mall storage. That's a great asset class, by the way.
Yeah.
Mini storage, cheap to build, great high turnover, 100% full.
I'm a believer in industrial REITs.
Industrial REITs are great.
Yeah.
So we buy real. So when you look at a client's portfolio, we manage it like a pension fund would manage the money that they manage for billions of dollars of pension. So pension funds aren't 100% in stocks. They'll have 20, 30, 40% stocks. They'll have a large allocation in real estate. They'll have some fixed income, some bonds.
Mhm.
They'll have some alternatives.
Your perspective is super interesting because when things happened like 2 weeks ago, when the crash started happening, right? People like you are like, this is a great opportunity.
100%. I posted a video the day of.
Right? Great opportunity. Let's go in more.
Yeah.
Other people, sell, sell,
Yeah.
sell, sell. Right?
You know,
Like,
since then it went like this.
absolutely.
Crazy.
Yeah, I've been monitoring it. Yeah. Yeah. It's been great 2 weeks, right? Since. So, and then I'll tell you something because I'm like self-managing my stuff and I'll tell you that I've realized that this is a mistake
Yeah.
because I don't have time to manage this and sell when it's happening. Like I wanted to. I swear to God, I was telling my wife, I'm like, let's buy more. She's like, okay, we'll take care of that tomorrow. Then the kids happened, work happened. I had 3 deals happening at the same
Then
time.
the flood happened.
Then the floods happened. And while all that was happening, I could have probably made another $10,000-$20,000.
Yeah.
And instead I just stayed flat.
I have a client, he manages his own money. He had a bit with, he's like, well, before we start, he's like, why should I do business with you? I told him this straight up. I said, honestly, you could do it on your own, but I'm just protecting yourself from yourself.
Yeah.
Because A, you might make emotional decisions, which might work to or not to your advantage.
Right.
And B, you're too busy running your business. I need to protect you from yourself. So he kept a portion where he's hyper risky. Some years he'll make like 77%, and the year after he'll make minus 82. That's his play money. And then I protect himself from himself on the other stuff, you know?
Exactly.
So that's
Well,
the premise.
People know what they know.
Mm.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
And that's, I think, where professionals come in.
100%.
When somebody comes to see me, they don't know what they don't know.
The challenge in our
Right.
profession,
Same with you.
for you and me, the challenge is what you said, low barriers to entry, has somewhat of a bad rep because, maybe some people operate with different levels of diligence or ethics, quote unquote. So you need to find the right professional.
I'll challenge you on the quality of the people in my industry versus yours, though. I'll challenge you on that.
Well, you know what? It's less sexy to go in wealth management. I mean, real estate agents, with the amount of shows I'm seeing on Netflix, I'm ready to move to Malibu and sell Manhattan. Whatever. Manhattan, New York, Malibu. I want it all.
Yeah.
I want to be US. I mean, they don't work. They're killing it. It's very sexy to be real estate right now. They're branding it as sexy.
Well,
So what is that? It's
100%.
attracting a lot. There's no sexy wealth management. No one gets excited talking about
You
gold.
look at you, tall, dark, and handsome.
I'm trying. I'm trying. It's not enough. Netflix, holla at me, you know?
You know, it's funny. It's a true story, right? And no one actually knows this. I got approached a couple of weeks ago by Bravo. Okay?
Stop.
Swear. And they're like,
$1 million
we want to
listing
do
Iran?
like,
Oh no.
super funny, right? Like, apparently, there's going to be a Persian,
Stop.
like, Shaws of Sunset style thing going on in Montreal, right? And they're like, we really want you to be a part of it. And like, I had the discussion with her. I'm like, why Montreal? Like, you know, I'm like, you guys were doing it in California, and it's like the hub of Persians. Already that show is like a big question mark. But then they're like, no, we want to do it in Montreal now because Vancouver is too close to the West Coast. Toronto has its own show, so we want to invest in Montreal. I think it's a Canada thing. And, you know, I you know, they told me about it, and I'm like, and then they're like, and you're in real estate, and we're looking at your podcast, and we're looking at your videos, and we think you could be a really good fit. And I'm like, what's the catch?
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I want to be a part of your clown show? Like, I don't, right? Like,
Yeah.
because, you know, that's what they're trying to do. It's like, I have a business to run. It's a serious business. I deal with serious people, right? How seriously are they going to take me when I'm like on a show, and then God knows what they're going to do.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
I think you start attracting a different type of client.
Absolutely.
And no offense to any, it's
I
not.
don't
I'm
think
not
I
offending
want that.
anybody.
No.
You know, it's all about like, you know, the other day I was invited to be on a podcast or like a show, but it would talk more about work-life balance and more like working less, which I respect and all, but it's just not part of my DNA.
No.
I'm here to work hard for my people. So
Yeah.
I couldn't go on it. So I think it has a lot to do with like your values,
Yeah.
you know, and making it's so beautiful because in this conversation you used the word collaborate earlier. You collaborate with your colleagues, which
Yeah.
some people would say I compete with other agents in my industry. So you said I collaborate with my colleagues. And now you made a decision based on what matches your values,
Yeah.
which are two things that maybe 15 years ago you wouldn't have done.
No.
So I think that's why it's important to deal with someone like you. Experienced, sticks to his values, professional. And I've read your testimonials. And it's never about like it's the record, the fastest. Like Puria took his time, listened to our needs, found us the perfect home that we felt was impossible for us to get. And I think I want people to know, just a quick shout out to you. You're the same person you were when they put you in the group of lessers in college with me in class. The same good guy.
We were the group of lessers.
We were the lessers, and you're still the same great guy, and it's great.
Thanks,
so
man.
it
I
just shows,
appreciate
man,
it.
your parents have done a good job.
Thank you.
You know?
Look, likewise. Look,
Thanks,
for you.
brother.
It's like no time has passed.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And that's why, you know, people tell me your podcast, like, they look so awesome. You know, like, how do you prepare for it? I'm like, prepare. Have we prepared for this today?
I asked you, are you going to prepare anything? You said, absolutely not. I said, thank God.
Yeah.
I said, I'll see you, whatever. Just send me an
We're
Outlook
just
invite.
talking. And that's why it's like friends getting together and discussing. That's actually one of the reasons why I started the podcast too.
I love
I'm
it.
like, just want to have a good time.
I would have never spent time with you, which
No.
I want to, but our life is busy.
Our life is busy.
So I'm really happy we're doing this.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to helping people.
Yes.
So I love the triplex idea. What are some of your like life hacks you want to help new agents or young people? Like, or do you have some life hacks that make you say you're running a business? What keeps you efficient?
All right.
Okay, is that good?
Sure.
I want to learn.
I think first thing is, what is your objective in what you're doing? Right? Same thing for you, right? Like, why are you doing what you're doing? And I always tell agents, if the reason you're doing what you're doing is because I want to make money. You're already not going to make money, and you're going to quit this business in a year. 94%. It's a real statistic. 94% exit first year real estate agents.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's a real statistic.
That's wild.
94%. I am the only agent left in my group. I was 19 years old. We're talking 18 years ago.
It's because you're hard-headed.
Right? I'm hard-headed. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Great trait.
I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
I don't take no for an answer.
It's perfect.
But why are you doing it? And I've always been passionate about real estate. And then when I came into this business, I always thought, like the glam. I'm not going to lie. That's one of the things that attracted me to it.
Hell yeah.
And then once I was in it, the relationships.
Yeah.
And that's where I really started to enjoy it. Where I wasn't looking at the transaction. I was looking at like just having a good time with my clients. Hence why I'm also selective. Right? There are
you
clients.
and me are very alike.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's verbatim.
The lessers.
The Lesters. You know what? The underdogs.
The underdogs.
Please, okay? I want to graduate from Lester to underdog.
And I'm also what some of the other brokers here have called the anti-broker. Because I'll tell you something that is not a popular thing for me to say. My intentions in the long run, I mean, what I think the world is going towards and where I would like to invest is a world where people can self-sustain transactions without a real estate agent. That is something that I believe the future is going to have. I think we're going more and more towards it. I have seen, and real estate agents right now, like I said, barrier of entry, just like your job, right, is low. I think lower in our industry. People are not well informed. People are not informing properly. And then there are decisions that are made. And then people hate real estate agents for good reason. Because they're not being informed properly. Now, where does this take us? We talked about blockchain a little bit earlier. Okay. And I believe in a future where real estate is going to start being traded more and more on the blockchain.
Oh, yeah.
Where homes can be transacted on the blockchain, where you can have a ledger and maybe even minimize the need for lawyers or notaries in Quebec. Where properties like buildings, I can't afford a 20-plex. Well, I think in a couple of years, you will be able to afford a 20-plex. Not as a 20-plex, but maybe you're going to take, right now, something that's happening. I went to California for this actually a couple of years back. Blockchain and real estate.
Super cool.
So this is happening in the States. People are putting buildings into REITs.
Yeah.
And they're putting it on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And they are trading them as shares on the secondary market. So now I want a piece of Place Ville-Marie. I can do it.
Yeah, no, I heard about this.
I think that's the future. I think for residential homes too, what you're going to see more and more of is this. People are going to be able to transact on a platform with full transparency. I am for this.
When you say full transparency, like Zillow style in the US, where you know the price of
Zillow is not an accurate, okay? But basically, you know exactly what's happening in real time. Okay?
Oh, I like that.
Right? So, like, I'm bidding on a property.
You know what the other
It's not that the other agent, by the way, fucking real estate agents, please stop doing this, okay? We have an intention of an offer. You don't have a fucking offer, you don't say you have an offer.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have an offer.
100%.
This thing that you're creating is dangerous. It's dangerous for people. First of all, it's unfair. It's unethical. Okay? Stop it. You don't have an offer? Intention of an offer means shit. You're trying to stir the pot. Okay? And I'll tell you something for sellers who think that this is a good strategy, this will work against you. Because when your agent comes and says, we have an intention of an offer, you're actually maybe avoiding other people from making an offer. Because 100%. I'll tell you by experience right now, people don't want to be in multiple offers. Oh yeah, there's an intention of an offer? Fuck you. Like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. But like, that's basically how buyers are feeling now. They don't want to be a part of it. After what happened over the last couple of years,
It was emotionally draining.
it was emotionally draining for everyone.
Wow.
I don't want to go back to that.
Poria's pissed.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to that.
No, nobody does.
I don't want to go back to that. Like, I'm pissed because I saw what people were doing. Okay? And all of those real estate agents who played those stupid games, I know each and every single one of you.
Oh, it's going to come back.
And it's going to come back to you.
It's going to come back.
It's going to come back to you. Those games that you were playing, it's going to come back to you. You're going to need me one day. It's going to come back to you.
Yeah.
Right? So there's, I say collaborate and I say colleague. It's for the select few out there.
The good ones are great.
The good ones are great.
Oh, the good ones are great.
The good ones are great. And we all know each other
I want to
and
say
we
that.
love collaborating.
The good ones are great.
The good ones are
Okay.
great. Yeah.
Just remember that the good ones are great. And I think a lot of people might have had bad experiences, but it isn't it's not industry wide. And I think that's very important, you know?
It's not industry wide, but unfortunately it's a majority.
Understood, but the good are great.
The good are great.
So let's just focus on the
we'll focus on the positive, but all this to say that's why things are going to change. So I think that blockchain is going to be super instrumental in real estate. And, you know, in parallel to this, I'm actually investing on the side into this.
You should.
Because I believe in this future and I believe it's good for people.
I think it's good for people.
I think it's ethical investing also. Like, is that a thing for you, by the way?
Ethical?
Ethical investing. Like, you know, are you investing into like stocks? Sometimes people are saying, oh, you know, this stock, as an example, I'm just going to throw out there, oil stock, right? Like, oh, you know, it's being done over here and there. Like, I don't want to invest in it because this country is doing this and this country is doing that.
We don't buy oil because we don't like the sector.
Okay.
But I think ethical investing is a bit of a nowadays, they call it ESG. They call it ESG. It's a score you guess in environmental, social governance, and the more ESG boxes you check off, the more you're liked. It's almost like a credit score.
Okay.
But it's really become kind of, in my opinion, a scam.
Okay.
Kind of like greenwashing. You know, saying I'm healthy, but then you look at the ingredients and it's not healthy. Or saying you're organic, but you're sprayed with glyphosate. Like, when you look at some ESG, like Tesla had a bad ESG score, although he's like an electric car company, which I understand. There's also, maybe you could say that the batteries, the way they're recycled, but he really had a bad score because he didn't want to follow their narrative.
I see.
Their rules. Then you had a company like Philip Morris, like a cigarette company, which might have had a great ESG score.
I know.
Do you understand what I mean?
Wild?
Yeah, so we stopped that.
Yeah.
Okay? Because if you're going to focus just on ethical investing, one, I'll give you the best example. My client, she wanted ethical funds for the last decade.
Okay.
And her husband did not want them. His rate of return was incredible. Hers was not so good. Last year she called me. She's like, I must go to the dark side. I said, don't feel bad. It's not really a dark side. Like, if you look at the funds in your ethical, they're not that ethical.
No.
You know, like, if you're going full ethical, you can't invest in banks.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can't invest in banks. I mean, they're giving money to some, I don't know, marijuana companies. You might think that's horrible. You know, I'm just giving you an example.
More than that. I mean,
that's nothing.
Yeah.
Let's just not continue. Yeah. You know, I mean, which company are you going to invest in? I'd want to know. You know, like you're very, very limited.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't invest in the banks. You can't invest in insurance companies. They're banking on you dying. You know, like it's just like,
well, they're banking on you paying up until you need a claim that they're going to avoid paying.
There you go. So there's no like ethical ESG, like it doesn't go really with capitalism.
No.
It's like saying like, oh, I don't want to buy real estate because, you know, the property values go up and then people can't afford it. Like, unfortunately, this is the system we live in. So it's either we have to play within that system, accept it, or actually go to another system. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with either one of those decisions. But fighting the realities of where we're at, it's just... So we don't focus on that. We really focus on...
But even precious metals and stuff, people die mining.
Yeah, so we buy gold.
Yeah.
But, you know, but it's not good.
Yeah.
We buy, you know, storage.
Yeah.
I mean, people might say, well, you're promoting divorce and and people who are, have too many stuff. They're
You get a ring for your wife, an engagement ring.
It's not
It's
good.
diamond.
Yeah.
Diamonds are very questionable.
So it's just because very challenging,
Yeah.
So
Everything becomes like an ethical
yeah, you got to
question
be
these
very
days,
yeah. So here's what we do. We
especially in our woke world today.
we build a model portfolio that we feel will withstand any economic conditions, interest up, down, etc.
Okay.
And
Do you rebalance?
yeah,
on
we
a regular?
rebalance. We rebalance generally twice a year, if not more. So, like for example, we had a huge run up in our stocks. We sold out of a lot of our tech to buy back fixed income that was cheap,
Okay.
which was a good move.
Yeah.
Now, it positioned us well. Our goal is to stay within the risk parameters that we set with
Right,
each
right.
of our clients. A client who's 82 has a different risk rating than someone who's 37.
Yeah.
So we build portfolios based on what we feel is best for the client from an investment standpoint, and we give back to the community. We
100%.
give donations, we give our time. I give free advice. I mean, I spend tens of thousands of dollars on marketing, not to get clients, to give free advice. That's my contribution back.
So I want to hear it from you. So like we're talking about giving back, helping, right?
Mm.
How does somebody, who's just starting work, who doesn't really have money, who doesn't really know how to start, how does he start getting into the game?
You need a mentor. You need a mentor ASAP. And don't tell me that there's nobody in your family. I didn't have nobody in my family
No.
who was a mentor. You got to put yourself in those positions. What do you think?
100%.
You think that's the...
Yeah, I would tell you the same. Look, I had a mentor even starting into real estate, and
Oh, so you did too?
I did, and that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
100%.
Right? We're still very close to this day. And
100%.
And he taught me so much. He's still teaching me. I still go to him. You know what I mean?
Always.
Right? And there is that. I think there is certain amounts of risk that you need to take also. I think like that's where you need to be a little bit strategic. You're like, okay, well, I have this pool now. I'm also sacrifices. Like people want to have everything,
That's another good advice.
right? Like you're making money because you're working at a job or whatever. You want to go out to the 5-star restaurants. You want to, oh God, like we did it too, right? Like in college,
but
remember
it was
that,
cheap.
right? It was
It
cheaper.
was cheap.
But I mean, relative
It was
like
cheaper.
a bottle at a club.
Well, if you went to Tribe before 10, it was like $60. Before 11 was $75.
Oh my God, Tribe.
I would send friends there. You got to go before 11.
Oh my God. I remember your birthday was...
What?
Yeah.
You remember my birthday?
I remember your birthday was at... Where was it called? Orchid? It was on Saint Laurent.
Oh, yeah. Orchid was sick.
That was like the place to be.
Great music.
Great music. And I remember we were having like... It was we were partying hard too. But same thing. Like, it's so funny that
So
like
fun.
I would never, ever spend money on a bottle today. But back then...
Oh, it was like crazy. Nothing.
like,
We had to do it.
we had to do it.
Let's go.
Right
But it
now,
wasn't
I'm like,
that, like-
what a stupid expense,
Yeah,
right?
it's a stupid
A
example.
bottle like in a club. Like, yes, I'll go out to a restaurant and have a nice like bottle of wine, with friends,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But my
Well,
God,
your things change.
yeah,
So mentor,
risk,
risk, but
sacrifice.
And I think I invest a lot in my education,
100%.
coaching.
Yeah.
I go to
So
Toronto.
where have you-
So, people think it's culty, but I did all the Tony Robbins, and I thought it was
Same.
amazing.
Same.
Oh yeah.
Did you do UPW?
Oh yeah. I did it twice.
So I did UPW
Oh
once.
wait, hold on. Yeah, twice.
So I did UPW once. Possibly I'll do it again this year. I went to Business Mastery with Tony
Did
Robbins.
you really?
I did.
I heard it's next level.
It is really good, and I'll tell you just a quick story, which is really like awesome actually when you think about it.
So cool, man.
So like I went there, it was really good. But we're business majors, so there's a lot of things that you already know.
yeah.
But he gives you a different perspective, which was really cool.
Isn't he next level?
He is so next level. Yeah. And it is like that's the thing. Everyone thinks it's culty, but like there's a lot of things you learn about yourself over there too.
It was an unbelievable experience.
It was an unbelievable experience, and I can't do it any justice, honestly. And I was actually discussing this because this year I was at a Grant Cardone seminar.
Oh, 10x.
I was there at the 10x seminar in April, actually.
And how was it?
Right? I'll be honest, extremely salesy.
Yeah.
Okay? But like still, you're learning.
Oh, you're learning.
You're learning. And that's what you have to take out of these seminars, what's good for you, and apply it for you. So, but I'll tell you, man, like the way he trains his staff, they are on you.
Who, Grant?
Yeah.
Beasts.
Beasts. Like,
Yeah.
they are just on you, relentless.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I don't want them to have my phone number.
No, no.
I will buy everything.
Yeah. Like,
They're too good.
They're really good. So,
what do you mean your pet is dying? My pet's dying.
Yeah.
Listen, I understand. Let me call you tomorrow morning.
yeah.
Okay. What time you wake up? Yeah, 7. I'll call you at 6:59. I'm like, dude, my pet's dying, man. Just give me a week.
Dude, I gotta give it to them.
They're
This
beasts.
is a seminar that has thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. Okay. And then, like, I'm walking and I just see them,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, and there's so many of them. And they're like leeches. I'm telling you, like, it was borderline annoying. I'm not gonna lie, but I still enjoyed it. I think there was a lot of value to be had. There is good components in there. There's things that you can learn from, but we have to also be honest, right? There are certain things that work better in the States than in Canada.
Certain, yes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Like the
Okay.
1031 exchange.
God. Like,
Let's not get into it.
let's
That's
just-
another podcast.
oh my God. Right? Like, you look at the
Dude.
vehicles these people have.
Let's not get into it. The 1031 exchange makes me cry sometimes.
I s-
Deducting your interest on your primary residence.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, isn't that amazing?
Oh, there's so many. Even when you go to the Business Mastery with Tony Robbins,
Oh, I must be
same thing. He's like, Canadians, this doesn't apply to you. Isn't that sad that that's what
It
you
does.
have to hear going there?
I admire him so much.
I do.
And you know what? Grant, too. You might hate him for the way he is or what. I admire him so much. And you know what they have in common?
They're successful.
Why are they successful?
Okay, because they're consistent, and you tell me.
Okay. I will tell you.
Tell me.
If you read or listen to their story
Yeah.
of like their formative years.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, pure abusive situation. He
Yeah.
was at 0.
Yeah.
Grant, 0.
Grant was a drug addict.
Oh, yeah.
Addict, right? Yeah.
There's another guy I follow, Dan Martell.
Yeah.
Love him.
He's good too.
How to Buy Back Your Time. 0.
Mhm.
Almost committed suicide.
Yeah.
They all faced a tremendous amount of adversity. Like you and me, we were the lessers in school. I guess maybe we also had other types of adversities, but that was kind of some of the fuel. I keep mentioning it because, yeah, it pissed me off.
Yeah.
But it also fueled me.
Yeah.
But these guys had it to another level.
Yeah.
And they went like this.
They went
So I
like
will
that.
always respect someone who has hardships and gets out of it. I don't care if you don't like him today. He's cocky, arrogant, salesy.
Maybe
You-
he's earned it.
Yeah, he has.
He's earned it.
He's
right?
earned it. So, yeah.
So-
So business mastery is I must do it. You know what I tell myself also is like some people will never have the opportunity to see Tony Robbins. The guy's getting old. I know he looks great.
Oh yeah. No, he's getting old.
He's getting old.
He's getting
His
old.
voice, like he's getting old.
He's
So we have
absolutely.
maybe 5 years of him left. So maybe some advice, like go see, like UPW's $1,000 or something dollars, $1,500. I don't remember what it was, but go invest that money.
I'm not here to I'm not like an advocate for Tony Robbins or anything. Neither are you.
No,
right?
no. I respect and
And-
love the, but
I will tell you, you could ask anybody. That program changed me.
oh, me too, 100%.
And
I took
it
my wife.
Really, so I want to take my wife this time.
I took my wife the second time.
So this is what I want to do now.
It was next level.
And my wife is also very skeptical. First of all, I was skeptical, right? Like
Jeez, you kidding
I
me?
was skeptical when I was getting into it, but then like once you experience it, something else. And I'll tell you this because people are like, oh, it's called, it puts things in perspective for you that you never really thought of. You start to learn a little bit more about yourself, and you start to reflect because this is the time to do it. Start to reflect on things. And I'm not going to get too much into it because I don't want to spoil it. But, day 3, I think, was like the most powerful thing for me, putting you in the best and worst case scenario,
Oh, the best. Yeah, yeah.
right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I think that I still remember it so vividly,
Me too.
and that was super super impactful on me.
I still review my notebook.
Oh, do you?
Always.
I haven't done it.
You
I
should.
still have them, and I wanted to do that. That's one of the things I
You
wanted to
should.
do. Last time I went was before the pandemic, so
Yeah.
that's why I wanted to kind of do a refresher, and I wanted to take my wife, and but it's such a great program. And did you do it at the Prudential Center
I
in
did it
Jersey?
once. It was in Florida.
Okay,
I think it was in Palm Beach, and then it was in Jersey,
so that's in Newark.
Newark, New
Yeah,
Jersey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I took my wife so she can understand me a little more.
yeah, 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 exactly.
I'm just a different. I'm not the same. I'm not the. I'm just different,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's okay. So you gotta
Well, you're
come
not
understand.
different. I think that you start to realize and maybe understand yourself better.
Yeah.
I think that a part of why a lot of people have anxiety is because they don't necessarily understand
Mm-hmm.
themselves.
Oh, well said. I do understand myself well, and I also make my own conclusions based on thorough due diligence.
Yeah,
So let's say you tell me this room is white or whatever this room is, or this, I'll
Yeah.
say, okay, yeah, I just want to make sure. Maybe
Right.
I'm crazy, but often what I hear, whether it's the news or an article, or even they say inflation is at 3.2, I don't believe you.
well, I was reading today
Because
that
there's
they
no
said
chance.
it's up to 2%. I'm like, what? 2%? I was reading it today.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe that
Okay,
either.
so let me go do my own research.
Yeah.
So then I start doing my own math, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's definitely not 2%.
No.
Okay, so right away I don't trust them. So anytime they tell me something, I'm double checking.
Yeah, 2% since last week, maybe. Yeah, but 2%.
2%.
2%. That's the tip we give at Starbucks.
Yeah, 2%. 2%. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
no, we're on the. It's we have a lot in common.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
funny.
But I'll give you a quick story. So Business Mastery, I went there, and I might have mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I'm gonna say it again because you went to Tony Robbins, so you have a bit of a more of an appreciation of it. When you put yourself in certain positions, things happen. When you take
100%.
certain risks, things happen. I spent $15,000 or $16,000 on that event.
It's a big one.
It's an investment. This was at a time I didn't have that much money, right? Like to be able to like make that kind of investment. And I remember everyone saying, "You're crazy. Like, what are you doing?
Seriously.
Right? Like spending this kind of money right now. Like put it on your mortgage. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, look, I'm gonna try it. It was actually after UPW that I took that kind of leap, and I went. It was a great seminar. I wish, and if you go, this is what I'll tell you. I wish I had interacted with more people. Look, it's a very different vibe than UPW because it's all business people. Everyone is super like successful.
Oh yeah, there's big money in the room.
Tony Robbins is like right in front of you, just like talking. He's not as it's because it's not like as intense people jumping on him, right? Like these are professionals sitting down, just walking around, talking to you, whatever, like very casually. And there is so many successful people there
Oh,
that-
it's unbelievable.
that you really learn a lot. And I did learn, but I wish I had done more of it. And there were people there that were there for the 8th time. I'm like, you guys are fucking crazy.
And they're worth 100 million, by the way.
Right? Yeah. And I'm like,
That's what people don't understand. He coaches billionaires,
oh yeah,
presidents.
absolutely.
He coached Agassi out of a funk.
It's true.
It was
Well,
crazy.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
I don't know if he coached him out of the funk, but
I don't know what he told them, but he's still here, that guy,
He's still there.
Like, so business mastery is something. I'm sure it's something.
So I'm on the plane back from Business Mastery. I hear these people behind, sometimes you're tired too, right? It was it was 5 days, right?
It's big days.
I'm hearing people behind me. Oh yeah, like how'd you like the seminar? They're right behind me. And I hear them, they're like, yeah, this was great. This thing about the accounting was really good. There was a lot of different people there, like CEOs, like the Spanx CEO was there. There was like 4 or 5
The Spanx
different.
CEO was
The Airbnb CEO was there.
Like sitting or
no,
presenting?
like presenting.
That's so next level.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. And they're talking about this. I'm like, Poria, you should say something. Don't be that guy, right? Like, they don't know me. They don't know that I went to the seminar. But I'm sitting right in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, and I'm really tired, right? I just want to get home. And I'm like, all right, don't be that guy. Like, get up, right? I'm like, oh, hey, you guys were at the seminar. That's great, right? They're like, yeah, okay, so you were at the seminar too? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even when I was going from Montreal, it's funny, the security agents, like, everyone's going to Tony Robbins. What's going on, right? Like,
Wow.
so I'm going to be like, yeah, okay, cool. So a lot of these people on the plane were from Tony Robbins. And then they're like, what industry are you in? I'm in real estate. What kind of real estate? Residential. At the time, I only did really residential. I never really was working in commercial, which is different from today. What kind of real estate are you in? I'm in commercial real estate, right? CBRE. Jeremy, my boy, right? Like, this is the first time we met, 5 minutes before landing,
Wow.
right? What's your number? This is my number. Okay, this is my number. Let's meet, like, when we can, right? I'm like, all right, cool. And I never thought anything would come out of it because, like, this
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
so
yeah.
much. And then the week after, my buddy's like, one of my buddies who's a CEO of a company, Priya, I need industrial space. Like, I'm like, and he was telling me for the last year, right? And I kept telling him, bro, it's not what I do, right? Like, anybody else would be like, yeah, yeah, cool. Like, I don't like doing things that I don't know, right? Because I don't want to steer my clients the wrong way. And then he tells me again, he's like, Priya, he's like, everybody is full of shit. I trust you. Figure it out.
Is he Persian, your friend?
Yeah.
I think I know who it is.
Right. Oh, you do?
I like him.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a good guy. So then I'm like, so for confidentiality, I'm not gonna say. I'm just curious if it's really the same guy. But anyway, so he's like, Priya, figure it out. Right. I'm like, all right, bro. Then I'm like, that guy on the plane. Right. Jer, you got space? Absolutely, I have space. Right. And I'm like, you got space in Saint Laurent?
Yeah.
Absolutely, I have space in Saint Laurent. He's like, I've got just the fucking thing for you.
No
right?
way.
And it was it was like a plant that was not a plant. It was a storage space for kids products or whatever that was like shutting down. And it had a big land behind for the plant. And Divco owned it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I think this is the perfect thing. I go to my buddy. I'm like, can this work? He's like, this works. So 2 weeks after I land, we close a deal that made me about 5-6 fold what I invested in.
Unbelievable story.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
So good. I also have these stories.
And we've done
It's so good.
hundreds of millions of dollars of volume, right? Since we're actually closing one now together. But like,
I guess you were crazy to invest in Tony Robbins.
I guess so.
Maybe
right?
we should be a little crazier.
Maybe we should be a little crazier. This is the part of risks I'm saying. Like, you'll take calculated risks sometimes, but to your point, when you're investing in your education,
It's never a risk.
it's never a risk.
It's never a risk.
It's never a risk.
Especially like, I'm not downgrading what the school can bring. I'm talking about extracurricular
Well,
stuff like this.
I mean, look, I think school creates a certain discipline. Like,
100%. It's vital. I understand that.
I,
But people naturally will go to school.
yeah,
But people will not naturally do what you did.
yeah,
So I don't need to promote. It's been promoted.
yeah.
School's been promoted. Everyone's in on it. Everyone's all in. I'm talking about the other stuff that people need a bit more of a push.
Because honestly, like I said, I think that's all you get out of school. Everything else, it's life. You have to get out of school and start to figure your things out.
100%.
I don't apply anything I learned in school really, but it taught me certain things just in my discipline, in time commitments, and all those things, in collaboration. I think that's the thing I took out of school more, not so much content of like,
No, for sure.
you know what I mean. But again, I think that that was great. I actually want to talk a little bit. We've talked about so many things. It's been 20 years, right? Like, close
That's
to
wild. Yeah.
19, right? But I actually do want to get into a little bit more of like where you think things are headed. Like, where would you invest more of in the future?
So I believe that I just want to talk about from a psychological standpoint and then from just a logical standpoint, okay?
Yeah.
So from a psychological standpoint, I think people are really worried and concerned, okay, from an economic standpoint. And
Right.
it's fair because things are very uncertain, okay? But I think what people also need to understand is we live in a world now where the stock market doesn't necessarily correlate with that. Like there were so many days where there was horrible news and the stock market rallied,
Yeah.
okay? Which is crazy. But that's just the world we live in right now. I believe that if you're going to invest in a sector and you could tolerate some volatility, I think technology will continue to do well. I
Hmm.
mean, just logically speaking, right?
Right.
Sometimes if you don't know what to buy or what to invest in, sit down, look around you and say, what do I have here? I have an iPhone. I'm on my computer, Microsoft, you know, Windows. I use Google, like app,
Yeah.
Amazon. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm best friends with these Amazon people. They come to my house all every day.
Yeah.
I see the Amazon people more than I see my parents.
Absolutely.
So maybe you should start either investing more time with your parents or buying some Amazon shares, like one or the other, you know? So I just think it's not as complicated as people think. They need to tune down the noise.
Right.
When the news says it's a crash, it's probably not that big of a crash.
Yeah.
And you just need to buy things that, in 10, 15, 20 years are still going to exist, you know?
It's interesting what you said because you're like sometimes there's horrible news and the market goes up.
Yeah.
And somebody told me this: economy and finance, two different
No,
things,
it's completely different,
completely different things,
which is weird.
which is weird. And then you touched up on like where things are going, so like Amazons and technology.
Mm.
And it's funny because I'm going to parallel with real estate now what you're saying, because now the Amazons of this world, they need space.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm a firm believer in industrial real estate.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you're going to see more and more of this. Why is it that you have? I'm going to name drop them if that's okay, but the Rose Fellows of this world who are just building,
Keeping
not
empty.
on spec.
Well, not empty, but like not
They're
on
just
spec.
building
They're
because
just
they're
building
like,
big.
we will rent it.
Yeah, they know.
They know. They know there is a demand, and now there is more and more domestic, right? Like manufacturing going on. Like people don't want to really go too far anymore. They want to stay kind of
100%.
closer and central. And I think you're going to see a lot more of this with time. You're going to see more spaces being utilized. You're going to see more manufacturing happening. You're going to see more storage that's needed. There is going to be more nearshoring. There's going to be people right now, like companies like Amazon. They want to be closer and closer to the city centers
I know.
so that they can have quicker, right, deliveries. I mean, there's a lot of investment into this.
Yeah.
So people tell me, which type of real estate should we really invest in? If you had to choose one,
You're saying,
industrial.
wow. Listen, I hear it a lot. I heard it rallied like crazy.
Yeah.
I heard it pulled back a little.
It pulled back
I'm
in
not
the
like
last,
which
yeah.
is normal because it went like crazy. I'm not a pro, so I don't want to comment on
Well,
it,
the economy has also
which is normal. Like it went
dropped,
on a
right?
crazy tear, right? So everything you're saying makes a lot of sense. So how can I argue against it? I think it makes a lot of sense.
But so people ask, how can we get into industrial? Because it's way too expensive. Then you go and see someone like Joseph Alfie,
Yeah,
and you go and you invest in industrial REITs.
there are some REITs you can buy. Yeah, I
Right.
think they pulled back actually some
They
industrial
did
REITs.
in the last year,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
So
might
it's
be a
not,
good
but these are good
opportunity.
potentially good opportunities.
Potentially
You're
good
absolutely right.
opportunities. So
Because usually the industrial is for the big boys like Rosefellow and
yeah,
and the Brass Waters and all these guys.
I mean, like so right now things are happening, things are flowing,
Yeah,
and then people are like, well, how can I invest? You can invest in it. How can I invest in real estate without like too much exposure? You can put some money into REITs,
yeah.
right? People don't know this. A lot of people don't. You can still invest in real estate, on a financial platform, right? Without having to buy
Well
it.
said. Well said. So, if we were to give 3 tips to people watching,
Mhm.
what would yours be, and then what would mine be?
So for what? Tips for?
Tips for success, however you want to qualify success.
All right. So I think that the first thing is, like we had mentioned, you need to take some form of risk.
Yeah,
You need a mentor.
yeah, 100%.
What you said made a lot of sense, right? And you need to work.
100%.
It's really not like a rocket science thing,
Right.
but educate yourself. Educate yourself. And one of the bigger things, I think that you need to have more information on what you're talking about. The more information you have, the more your mind grows. The more your mind grows, the more you start to make connections.
Mm.
And also, where are we going 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Like, people are so short-sighted to today. Where are we going in 10 years?
That's the key question.
Where were we 10 years ago? Where are we today?
Yeah.
Right? Like, let's look at the world 10 years ago and today. Very different.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be that much more different in 10 years. Look at where it's going. Start to maybe invest your time into that. I'm a proponent of, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, you will know if you're working a 9 to 5, because that's happened to me, where you're miserable in it. If it's not for you, you will enjoy it if it's for you. Because I see there's no problem in being a 9 to 5 person and working for a company and being a real contributing factor to that company. I think there is a lot to be said about that, right? Like, I'm not discounting that in any shape or form. But if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, you're not going to fare well there.
Yeah. Right.
So if you want to be an entrepreneur, where are things going?
Yeah. Always ahead. Listen, everything you said.
Yeah.
To add to that, in number 3 or 2, you invest in
Or 4.
stocks.
Yeah.
Number 2 or 3, you invest in real estate. But number 1, you invest in yourself.
100%.
Mind, body, and soul.
100%.
The whole thing.
More than real estate, stocks, crypto.
It's all a waste of time if you don't have the number 1.
Absolutely.
You just invest in yourself.
You will make a lot more investing into yourself in the long run. And then, yeah, you're going to have that when you have the extra money.
Yeah, then you go.
Then you go and see Joseph Alfie or Puria and Sari.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you first invest in yourself.
100%. This was awesome, man.
Joseph Alfie.
Puria and Sari.
Episode
Puria.
11. Episode 11 is a wrap.
Already
it was a
11.
Real pleasure. A real pleasure, man.
19 years later.
19 years later. God, we got to do this. You know what? We actually have to go out.
Okay, we'll do
properly.
It. We'll go to Tribe.
Let's
But before 10.
Before 10.
Before 11 or whatever.
Does
the
Tribe
deal was.
still exist?
No. It hasn't existed in like 19 years. But it was good.
Oh my God. It was a good time. It was a good time.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, God. All right.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, brother.
Really good to see you.
Be well.
Thanks for the time.